Hey guys, this is Jacques from Makulu Linux. I'm just want to make a Cinnamon 2.0 overview video. This is basically a video of the release notes in a sense, just to show off what's new, what to expect, what the build's all about, so that the guys that don't like reading can just watch the video. Okay, so this update or this release comprises of a lot of core updates, some retheming, some special effects, a couple of new apps, a lot of updated software, and the list goes on and on and on. So I want to start with the core updates. As you can see, the Cinnamon has been updated to a variety of different version packages. The core update is based on 2.2.16-5, and you've got a variety of versions in here: 2.2.11, 2.2.4, 2.2.3, and so the list goes on. But the core Cinnamon desktop has been updated to 2.2.16-5, the control center to 2.2.11-4. Okay, so it's a variety of different versions that makes up this edition, but they've all been updated to the latest versions. Okay, the Linux kernel is currently 3.16.7. okay, so that's the latest kernel on Debian testing, and that's the kernel that's being run here. Okay, so with that said and that out of the way, I just want to actually talk about the kernel for a second, because there are two things I actually want to talk about. One is the kernel. I get a lot of people asking, why is there not a 64-bit build? Okay, and I want to sort of just go over that for just half a minute. This is not a i386 32-bit build. None of our builds are i386. Okay, you get i386, which is 32-bit, and then you get x64, which is 64-bit. Okay, we don't build on the i386 kernel, and we don't build on the x64 kernel. We build on the i686 kernel. Okay, now what the i686 kernel is, it's a 32-bit kernel, but it's PAE, physical address extensions. Okay, it basically takes away the 32-bit limitations. Okay, so it allows you to run the 32-bit operating system on a 64-bit system while taking advantage of your 64-bit features. Okay, so it will run fine on your 64-bit CPU. Okay, and it will detect all of your RAM. If you have 8 gig of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of RAM, it will pick up all the RAM, it will use all the RAM, it will take advantage of your 64-bit PC. So in a sense, it's a virtually it's like an alternative to a 64-bit kernel, but with all the advantages of 32-bit. Okay, now what are the advantages of 32-bit over 64-bit? Okay, one of the major advantages is that you can run Steam and Wine with no issues. Okay, if you install a 64-bit and you want to play Steam games, or you want to make use of Wine, you have to install 32-bit libraries. There's a whole like 6-page tutorial on getting it up and running, and even then you always have issues and bugs. There's just so many issues with Wine and Steam on 64-bit at the moment that it's more of a headache than anything else. Okay, and this is the reason we use i686. So it allows you to take full advantage of your 64-bit system while still maintaining the 32-bit compatibility out of the box. So that's in a nutshell what it is. So if you're running a 64-bit system, you don't have to worry. You can install this build and any of our builds, and they will run without any issues at all. Okay, so that's the one item. The second one I'll come to in a second. So when you boot this up, you'll be presented with this obviously beautiful desktop environment. The wallpaper, the shark, I chose that because this is such a nice distro that it's got that killer instinct. It just it hits everything on the right spots. You know, the fixes, the bug fixes, the theming that I did, everything just came together so nicely that it kind of just fixed everything in all the right places. So it's kind of like a killer instinct, this release, and that's why I've got the shark background. Okay. Or the great white. I think it's a great white. Anyway, so when you first boot up, this is what you'll see. I want to go over some of the changes where the theming is concerned, because that's one of the first things you'll notice is the theme. I've redone the shell theme. Previously it was very square, very flat. In fact, the name of the previous theme was Square and Flat. And it had barely, actually I think it had no transparency on it at all, no smoothness. It was just square and flat, and that was it. The new theme, which I've basically created from I took the original cinnamon theme and I heavily edited it, added transparency on, added a lot more roundness on. I had to integrate the colors and the shades and the shadows and everything else to make it fit with the GTK3 theme. So I basically blended it to fit with the GTK3 theme. Okay, so when you first boot up, you'll notice that the theme is a lot more rounder. Okay, so all the borders are rounder. You've also got a extra little border on the menus and pop-ups. And you'll notice there's a slight transparency. I didn't want to go overkill with the transparency. On the XFCE version, transparency was nice because it just complemented the desktop so much. You know, it made the desktop look a lot more modern. You know, where Cinnamon, it already looks modern. So I didn't have to overkill with transparency. I just needed to just put a slight touch on it, just to blend it and make it just, you know, give it that little smoothness. And so that's what I did. Okay, so you'll notice there's transparency on the menus, on the pop-ups. Anything that you open up there, you can sort of see the background through that. So so the new shell theme basically just complements the GTK3 theme. It just blends to make it look nicer. Okay, the GTK3 theme is the same theme we used before. Same one we've ported over to XFCE. Really nice. Really, you know, the colors just complement each other. You've got the sort of a bluish and the white and the grey and the black. I mean, it fits so nicely. Just looks very stylish. You got some transparency obviously on all the pop-ups, on the menu, on the bottom panel. If you actually change the wallpaper to a different wallpaper, let's take something like that, and you'll actually notice the bottom panel is actually transparent as well. It's just that the original wallpaper I used was virtually the same color as the panel. That's why it didn't show the transparency so well. But if you put any kind of bright colored background, you'll actually see the transparency on the panel as well. So the menu is transparent, the panel is transparent, the pop-ups are transparent, the previews are transparent, or the borders of the previews are transparent. So there's a lot more transparency on this build. In fact, if you've got a window open, be it a file manager, your office manager, any kind of application, any kind of window that's open, you can actually manually set the transparency on each individual window. You can just move your mouse to the title bar and you can just roll the mouse wheel. So you can set the transparency on each window that's open as well. It's very handy for if you have two windows open and you want to see what's going on in the background window. So you can sort of just roll the mouse wheel and you can sort of see what's going on in the background if you need to. So that's nice that you can set the transparency on each individual window. The menus themselves, we've got the dual menu as before. We've got the traditional menu on the left, which is well, it's not the native Cinnamon menu. This is a menu designed for Mate. So it's got the whole Mint Mate menu look. Very nice. You've got all your applications, favorites. You've got system, places, and your system buttons at the bottom. Okay, on the right, we previously had the Slings Gold launcher. we opted for the Synapse this time around. The reason for that was that Synapse received such a good feedback in the XFCE, and really I found it to be so much better than the Slings Cold launcher. You know, the features, the quick searches, the quick opening of something, very very nice. It really complements the other menus so well, because you know, sometimes you feel like looking for something, or you just feel like using something, some shortcut on this menu. Other times you just want to quickly just type something, search a document, you know, whatever. So the two menus complement each other quite well. Also on the bottom panel you'll find a quick launch to your account. This you can get through the system settings panel as well, but it's just such a small little icon for such quick access to details that you know you find yourself using quite often. So I've included that little shortcut into the bottom panel as well. And of course you've got your open Windows and desktop environments, little quick launcher to that. You've got your clock and calendar over there, you've got your battery indicator over there, you've got your system updater over there, you've got the wallpaper changer, the volume control, you've got your news reader, and of course your network. Okay, so those are the default system icons in the bottom panel. On the other side you've got your files, which is your file manager, quick access to that. You've got your web browser, Google Chrome, you got your XFCE terminal, you got your software manager, and a update sources, and a show desktop, which will minimize all windows instantly. Now the other thing about the theme, if I actually open up something like terminal, which I've got transparency on, previously I had a lot more transparency on that, and you know, it was almost completely transparent, almost 100%, and I think some people found that the text was hard to read, and you know, it didn't really complement the desktop or the rest of the theme as such, where this GTK3 and Shell theme is very sort of a robust gray kind of look to it and feel to it. I kind of made the transparency and the background colors and so forth to complement the theme. So even the transparency on things like the terminal will be a sort of a gray transparency, you know, sort of gray look. You know, if you actually have a look at the two, so darker gray on the menu, lighter gray on the terminal. So even there, you know, I spent time on all of that. I spent time on every piece of, or every angle of the theme, to sort of make every little bit complement the next little bit. So the theme all round is smoother from one end to the next end. Is just smooth no matter which angle you look at it from. Okay, so now here comes the other thing I also want to concentrate on, and that's the wallpaper changer. I get quite a lot of messages on the website, especially in that little chat program, and I've had a couple on the forums, and I've had a couple of emails of users that complain when they change the desktop background. I'm going to go change it to something else. When they change the desktop background, it changes back itself after a minute or 2 minutes, or after 30 seconds or whatever. The background changes back to what it used to be. Okay, now I'm just going to let it change, and then I'm going to tell you why. Okay, and this is important, and I'm not sure why the people didn't read the release notes, because if they had, they would understand why it's automatically changing. It is in the release notes, but it seems a lot of people just download, they don't read the release notes, and I urge you to read the release notes, because they're there for a reason. They tell you crucial things about the distro that you wouldn't otherwise know. Okay, but anyway, the reason for that is that Makulu Linux uses a wallpaper changer. Okay, and it overrides the default wallpaper, desktop wallpaper application. Okay, so there we go, there it changes back automatically. Okay, now the reason for that is this little program here next to the clock. It's called Variety Wallpaper Changer. You can go to the preferences of this little program and manage your wallpapers from here. It's got a lot of features. I'm not going to go into all of them now, but you can set it here. Either you can set your wallpaper features and preferences here, or you can disable it. And if you disable it, you can then go and manually change your wallpaper via the your normal background settings. However, doing that, you will lose the desktop clock. You will also lose the quote system, and for me that's not really a great option, because both of those complement the desktop so much. The clock just looks so stylish and so nice, and the quotes is just interesting. It just makes everything a little bit more interesting and less boring. So I would urge people to rather use variety and set your wallpaper preference inside variety. You can set it to change at whatever interval you want. You can set it to change at startup. You can even set it to one single desktop wallpaper if you want, and manually change that as well. So I'm just gonna set it there because I actually want users to see what all the new wallpapers are. They're quite a new variety of wallpapers, so I'm setting it to 10 seconds. I want to just cycle through some of the wallpapers, so while I'm talking you can see some of the new backgrounds that will come with this edition. Okay, so in a nutshell, what I've covered so far is the new shell theme. Okay, so you've got a new shell theme, transparent, that complements the GTK3 theme of the release. The previous theme was nice, but it didn't really complement the GTK3 theme so much, so I literally had to go and create a new theme. Okay, the other change was the Synapse launcher replaces the Sling's Cold launcher. You've got the new little account manager over here. Okay, and then of course I covered the wallpaper changer. Okay, I just want to go through some of the other things that are updated. The new system settings. Okay, system settings before was very broken because Cinnamon 2.0 was very new, and for that reason there wasn't even a working control panel. But Cinnamon has had major updates over the last I'd say last 3 months. They've done quite a lot of work on the core itself, and so for that reason I'm actually putting out this new build. I would normally wait 6 months before I do a new build. I think it's been about close on 4 months, so it is a little early. It's been about, I think it's been about 3-4 months since the last release, but I'm doing it a bit early because of the major changes to the core system itself, and then of course the front end changes that are made. You'll notice the system panel or this control panel, or whatever you want to call it, has a lot more functionality now. Things before that didn't work, like power manager and networking and your display, they all function now. Virtually the whole system settings is working so well that I've included that. I've updated to that one, included it. I've still left the Makulu control center there, so if you want you can still use that. They both change the same thing, so you can use one or the other, but the default Cinnamon system settings is there, so you can make full use of that. Okay, so with that being said, I think I just want to go through. I'm going to switch this off now. Needless to say, there are quite a lot of nice new wallpapers included. Obviously with each build we always put out nice wallpapers. I find it a little boring that some of the distros will always include the same 5 or the same 6 or the same 10 wallpapers on every release. I always, when I do something new, I want to feel the change and I want to see it from all angles, and that's why I always include new desktop wallpapers. It's just something fresh, something new, something interesting. So yeah, so you can expect that with this release as well. I'm just gonna go to the default wallpaper here that comes with the distro. There we go. I want my shark back. There we go. Okay, so some of the other changes, of course, is that we switched from GDM to LightDM. Now that's your login manager. Now previously we used GDM and it works very well on Ubuntu based versions, but on Debian it's always just problematic. Always have issues with GDM, and for the longest time I've worked my butt off to always make it function properly without issues. But every couple of months they'll do some kind of update, and it will break and cause issues, and so yeah. Previously I didn't use LightDM because it has a couple of minor bugs on its own. It's got a few limitations on theming, and it's not as nice, looking sort of eye candy wise than as GDM is. And also it has a couple of annoying bugs, like when you log in, it doesn't change your mouse cursor to a custom cursor. It will just keep the default mouse theme. So I actually spent some time fixing these bugs on this release. So this is the first time we're actually using LightDM Manager, LightDM as a login manager, and I spent some time fixing the bugs. I put in a half decent theme on there. It's not the prettiest in the world, but it's also not the ugliest in the world, and I fixed some of the minor bugs that were. So I spent a couple of days on that, got it working, and switched over to that. So users can now use LightDM. It will be LightDM Manager, that LightDM login manager, that your display manager. I've also included the LightDM Manager, which allows you to change some stuff on the actual login manager. One being that you can set your auto login, the other one being that you can change the appearance, so you can change your theme, and the third being that you can change the background. So there is a nice little manager with just a couple of things that it allows you to just edit that on the your login display manager. Some of the apps that included, all the default apps that came with version 1.0 are still here, so you'll find the very same stuff. I'll go over it briefly. Okay, so you've got your LeafPad, which is your default text editor. You got your Furious ISO mount, because let's face it, at some point you're going to mount ISO files, and you're going to need a manager for that, so that's included. You got your default file manager in here. You got a screenshot manager. You got Synapse Launcher. You got USB image writer, that's to make a bootable USB stick, and you got your variety wallpaper changer. Under games, previously I had Play on Linux and Steam. I've now included Ailsriot Solitaire and X Mahjong in here as well. Two games from the GNOME edition actually that really complement the desktop and are time killers when you're sitting at work and kind of just want to kill some time. Two great games for that. So that did take up a little bit of space, but well worth it. Graphics, you've got your Nomax image viewer for viewing images. Brilliant image viewer, one of the best ever. And you've got MyPaint for editing your pictures and so forth. GIMP is, if you want to use GIMP, it is in the repositories. You can install GIMP. I didn't install it by default because it installs well over 100 meg, and I just didn't want to increase the size of the ISO. So by default, MyPaint is virtually just a sort of a slightly lesser version, a less complex version of GIMP. It is quite nice. It's got all the basic picture editing features that you'll need. Okay, so if you go new picture, it's got a lot of features here. It's got layers, and you've got a scratch pad and colors and brushes and so forth. So it is a nice little paint app, very basic, but with some nice advanced features in it. So I'm sure users will like that. The guys that want to use something more advanced like GIMP, it's easy to install. It is in the repositories. Internet, you've got your Google Chrome, you got your Thunderbird Mail, and you got your instant messenger, which is Pigeon. Office, you got your Foxit Reader for PDF files, and you got your WPS Office. Now this was previously Kingsoft Office, and on the Ubuntu version I updated it to the newer WPS Office because they changed the name, but they also updated the build considerably. I mean, there were major changes to the Office edition, for the better obviously, and in the Debian version I've now updated that as well. So this is now the WPS Office. Okay, you got your full wine installed on here, which is with the DSD patch. It's the gaming edition of Wine, so you'll see lots of frame rate increases in games. You got Brasero for making CDs. It's a CD writing program or DVD writing program. You got your Pulse audio volume control. You got Rhythm Box. You got Simple Screen Record, and you got your VLC media player. Under preferences, you've got all the default stuff. Okay, I'm not going to go through that. And administration as well. I have included a boot repair, brilliant for any startup problems. BleachBit is installed there for cleaning your system. DconF editor, so you can directly edit background stuff, back-end stuff on your system. The GDebi package manager, which just allows you to install packages. Gparted, of course, is in there. Grub customizer, customize your grub screen. You've got a backup, the Lucky backup app. You've also got your Synaptic package manager. Okay, there's a register WhatsApp. This is to use WhatsApp on Pigeon. Okay, it's quite complex to do this, but I have set up a little tutorial there if you want to run WhatsApp. You've got iNix, which is a system information little app. I'm actually going to start it up and just show it to you. Just let it detect all the devices in the background. It's a brilliant little system information program. It will give you detailed information on your motherboard, your CPU, your GPU, your motherboard, audio device, drives, system. So because I'm in VirtualBox, it doesn't really give a lot of information. But if you on actual hardware, it will pick up. It will give you a lot of information. So this is a very nice little app. Okay, so let's just close that. So yeah, it's very much the same software that came with the previous release. Of course, the Office was updated to the newer version. I think that took a little bit over 100 megs of extra space, but well worth it. You've got 2 new games on here. Okay, and you got the Lightia manager, obviously, which is also new. So apart from that, everything else is virtually the same. It's default software. It's not over the top kill software, but at the same time it's daily stuff that you'll use, or that most people will use every day. You got a graphics app program, you got an internet browser, you got an Office manager, you got Wine, Steam, and then you've got a video player, and you've got an audio player, and you've got a CD burning app or DVD burning app. And you got Play on Linux, Steam, and a card game, and a block building game. So it's not overkill, but at the same time, it's just nice. So it's a nice selection of software. The device driver manager has been updated by Skuli, and it's been completely rewritten. Okay, so this is the new device driver manager. Of course, I'm running in VirtualBox, so it won't detect anything else. But on your actual hardware, it will allow you to install new network and graphics driver if you need to. So yeah, so that's pretty much the software side of this release. The Nemo version on here is version 2.2.4, so that's up to date with the latest version of your file manager. So all in all, this build has been updated with everything. We've got a couple of new themes on here. If you want to go to themes, let's go check out the shell themes. You'll see there's a couple of new shell themes for users to play with, and they all complement the current theme as well. So most of them will look quite nice on the current GTK3 theme. You can obviously change the default GTK3 theme, and there's a couple of new ones in this list as well. The window border is the same thing, the icons as well. And I fixed this up with previously the controls would allow you to set the border theme as controls. I've fixed that up. Windows borders will now show only under Windows borders, and controls will show under controls as well as there. So there was a lot of little things that I sort of fixed. I spent a lot of time fixing bugs, things that I've noticed, because I also use this on a daily basis. So every time I open something, I'll notice, oh damn, why didn't I do this, and why didn't I do that, and this really doesn't look so good on that, and of course feedback I got from users as well. So I spent a lot of time just fixing little things. It's those are the things that always make the difference. I mean, it's easy for people just to fix a major bug, but then the little bugs, just the little annoying things that people always notice, that sort of never get fixed. I wanted to spend time on those. So I really just wanted to get the desktop running smooth, looking smooth, feeling smooth, and just all round you notice the little things. So the effects, I've put some effects on everything. You can sort of see that when I maximize a window, when I actually close a window, it sort of jumps and zooms into the background. Your menu pop-ups, it pops out, scales out from the bottom. So I've added a lot of effects on the desktop by default, that are enabled by default. You can also, via your applets and extensions, sorry, I'm going to go look for extensions here. Extensions, also via extensions you can enable wobbly windows, desktop cube, that's already enabled there. So you got wobbly windows and desktop cube and things that you can use as well to sort of make the there's your desktop cube. I've got currently 2 workspaces, so you'll see it there. So your desktop cube fully functional, even in VirtualBox. Your wobbly windows, I'm going to enable wobbly windows there quickly. Let's go look for extensions, wobbly windows, add to cinnamon, and you'll notice wobbly windows also fully functional. It doesn't work as well in a virtual environment, but on actual hardware it runs like a dream. Okay, and you can actually go set that. There are a couple of settings that would allow it to I think let's just put this a little, no, the other way. Let's set that, there we go, and that should, there we go, run a little smoother. I could set that even a little bit more. Okay, so wobbly windows fully functional. You can customize those settings as you want. So if you want, you can sort of add the wobbly windows effect as well. The desktop cube is enabled by default. So all in all, very nice build, very smooth, very nice, very functional. You know, you can out of the box compress, extract stuff, open as root, fully functional. So all the normal shortcuts you would have in a distro, that's all there. Open in terminal, open as root, compress, extract. Those are all fully functional, and if you actually have an ISO file, you can mount it, right click mount. So that's all very nice. So yeah, I'm very happy with the release. It is spot on. It hits all the right spots, all the right areas. It just works so nicely, you know. And you've got this beautiful menu on the left, and you've got the Synapse launcher on the right. Those work like a dream out of the box together. I'm sure users will love those. You've got a very nice wallpaper changer, so you can just go out there and just select another wallpaper, or you can set it to auto swap wallpapers. You know, there's a couple of really nice wallpapers in here. Nice variety. Let's go find something. Okay, there we go. There's a tiger. So yeah, the installer is still the 3-point installer, which is the GUI, then the GUI with terminal, and the advanced installer. Now the new this new ISO, okay, it is 170 megs, even with all these updates, with all the changes, with the new themes, the new wallpapers, the new extensions, because there are a couple of new extensions, 1 or 2 new applets, 1 or 2 new desklets as well, and there's the 2 new games as well that I've added in, and the Office that I've updated, all the software that I've updated, the background core updates that I've done, the new control panel. With all of that, okay, which installs a complete 7.02 gigabytes, I think, in complete installation once it's done. Even with all of that, I managed to reduce the ISO size from 1.39 gigabytes to 1.22 gigabytes. So that's a reduction of 170 megs in total. So that is awesome. And that, I spent a lot of time compiling a lot of the stuff myself, you know. So I spent a lot of time optimizing everything. A lot of the software is pre-compiled by me, and therefore I optimized, took out junk and crap that's not needed, and so that obviously counts why there's a 170 megabytes reduction in ISO size, which is brilliant, I thought. Also with the LightDM manager, I've set it to auto login, so when you first log into the live DVD, it's auto. You don't have to type the username and password anymore. It will just log into the desktop straight away automatically. So that's very nice. If you start the installer, it will ask you for the root password, obviously, and if you look here and you actually read on the little pre-installation window, it actually tells you there, if asked for password, use Makulu. So lower letters Makulu, that's it. Okay, so you can install via GUI. You can install via the GUI with a terminal background to see what's actually going on in the background, or use the advanced installer. The advanced installer is for advanced users. It is a little complex, so if you're not up to that, use the GUI. Okay, so that pretty much covers this release. Updated version of Cinnamon desktop, updated front end, updated back end, new kernel, new themes, new desktop wallpapers, new special effects, new shell theme, a lot more transparency, a lot of little bug fixes all around the distro. It's just little things that were annoying me. One or two major fixes, things that people would email in and say, look, this is not working properly, fix that. You got a new driver manager, new display manager as well, and a nice variety of new wallpapers. So I would say this is a very, very, very nice new release. I was going to make it an update, just sort of I was going to make it a Cinnamon 1.1 or 1.2, but at the end of the day, there were just too many changes, especially on the core back end side of the system. Just far too many changes to make it a simple update. The front end as well, I can send through the core updates, and the bug fixes I can send through to the old users, which I have done and will carry on doing. But the problem is that I can't force people to install new wallpapers. I can't force a new shell theme on an update. So because of those major changes, I felt the need to actually put out a Cinnamon 2.0. So that's the main reason, that and the fact that there have been so many updates in such a short period of time from the Mint team themselves. Okay, so at the end of the day, very nice, very polished release, and a very nice little next step in this series. Of course, this is a Debian based release, so this is a rolling release, which means you'll get updates on this forever. So that's always nice, it being based on Debian, being rolling release, and being a modern Cinnamon desktop environment done with the Makulu style. And yeah, so that's it from me. Just thought I'd give a nice little video overview of what to expect. Yeah, I hope you guys love this release. I hope it serves you well. And yeah, it's just a nice little massive update for existing or guys that would like to use Cinnamon but want to use it on the Debian environment and not the Ubuntu environment. Then this is for you. This is Jacques from Makulu Linux. This release is due to go live on the 19th. Today is the 18th, tomorrow is the 19th. So look out for this release if you're watching this video before then. If not, I will include this video in the release notes, so please take a look and enjoy. Cheers.